Hello, everyone, and welcome to Food is Live Real Talk with Farheen Khan. This is our very first episode. Very excited to have you all on with us today. So, just to give you a bit of a background, this project is by Meal Exchange. Meal Exchange is an organization that's been around for over 25 years, and our focus is very much supporting post secondary students and ensuring that they can access good food and ensure that we're dealing with issues around hunger and food insecurity. So, what better way to have a discussion about food and really speak about the issues that are addressed, impacting food across the food movement and across our world, really, than to have some incredible individuals that are doing the work on the ground and having those conversations with them. So, I'm excited to introduce our very first speaker, which is in our, for our first episode. Who better to have with us than this incredible Canadian chef and activist? So I'm happy to welcome Joshna Maharaj. Welcome, Joshna.
Hello. Good morning. It's lovely to be here.
Thanks so much for being on the show. We're very excited to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Amazing. So I want to take a quick moment here and just do a bit of an introduction, and then feel free to add, Joshna, what you think. But here it says, according to Food and Wine magazine, which I think was very cool to read.
I saw that. I was very delighted that you found that. I don't know where that came from.
Very cool. Canadian chef and activist Joshna Maharaj is on a mission to improve the quality of institutional food from hospitals to universities. She wants people to be offered real food cooked with real ingredients. And you've done incredible work in a lot of different organizations, including Sick Kids Hospital at Ryerson University. And now you have this book called Take Back the Tray that you've launched, which is super cool. And it's available for purchase now, right?
Not yet. May 5th.
May 5th.
May 5th.
Wow.
Here it is. It's
coming up.
Of them here. I'm very delighted about them, but they're around. All small indie booksellers will have them, so we can buy them from our neighborhood folks. And there will be website purchases. May 5th, though, is the date, and you'll all hear a lot of noise about that when the time comes.
Very cool. It's coming up. That's exciting. Looking forward to getting my copy, too. Great. So, Joshna, if you tell us, let's start with the real basics. So, why is food important to you?
The great question. I love when I was reading your questions beforehand. I was like, oh, we're diving right into all of it. Amazing. Let's go. So food is, I think that the reason that I have such a thing about it and the reason I scream and yell in front of a microphone is because, one, I really think that we all collectively have really moved away from the original kind of point of food. Right. I think that a lot of things have sort of distorted our relationship with food. And what I would like to do is actually help to remind everybody that when you take all of the nonsense away, the very basic truth, and however you want to understand how we were put here, if it's spiritual or scientific or, indifferent to any of it, the bottom line is we were put on this earth and we were given this glorious system where things grow out of the ground that taste delicious and have nutrition in them that we need to stay alive, right? And the reason that there's so many different things is that they all hold different stuff, and we're supposed to eat a variety in our diets so that we stay nourished. But really, this is about staying alive, right? And I think that a lot of the decisions, and I really think we have deprioritized food, right? Over the course of the last 60 years or so, our priorities around food have really gone into the gutter. And the problem with that is that our bodies are telling the story, our community threads, our networks are telling the story, our economy is telling the story, and it's just not working, right?
For sure.
And we're not thriving, right? We're not doing well. Hunger persists. In a time where we all walk around with mini computers in our pocket, the fact that not all of us on this planet get one meal, never mind the 3 that you're supposed to get, they don't get one meal a day, we should all be much more upset about that, right?
Yeah,
I think that if we all think about chasing happiness or a good life, there's no way that either of those things will be possible if you don't have a good, solid, secure access to food.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, what can you think? Yeah. Just being able to think on, when you're dealing with hunger, imagine on a day to day, even if you're just literally, we skip a meal and we can feel the hunger and that's all we can think about, right? Imagine people who are actually living that day to day.
Well, this is it, right? The occasional time. I'm a Hindu, and so every now and again I find myself involved in some sort of religious fasting, right? I remember Diwali, we weren't allowed to eat until the prayers were done, and then we'd have whatever was left. And it would be like this, like, when can we, you know what I mean? There comes a point where all you can think about is your empty stomach. Right?
Exactly.
And you cannot actually think about anything else. And I don't think that we remember that enough. Right? And I think that we should all care more about the fact that not all of us have enough to eat, right? Absolutely. Having a fancy car is like, you worked, you got money, you can buy a thing, whatever. But that same metric should not be applied to whether or not you have food.
Absolutely. So do you want to give us a bit of like paint a picture for us, Joshna? Like what does the food system look like in Canada right now? I know that's a big question.
Yeah.
Give our audience an idea.
It's a really important question because it should be noted, right? We are here not with each other because we are socially distancing because of this virus that's cruising around. And so I think we're really seeing the bare bones of our food system right now. A lot of the underbelly is being revealed. And perhaps the most important thing to say about our food system in Canada is that it is overwhelmingly monopolized by the industrial machine, right? And that means large-scale corporations, big producers, people managing accounts from British Columbia to the Maritimes. This is the system, and the reason I think it's a problem for a number of reasons. But the one thing that's really revealing itself is that we have very few distribution sources and hubs. Right now, we're seeing the shutdown of a beef plant in Alberta because of an outbreak of the virus, but that is collapsing the industry. One plant goes down and it collapses the industry, right? We've seen that the big grocery stores that have had empty shelves is because their distribution is also very singular and very unified. And so their ability to restock and regenerate is not keeping up with the madness at which we are yanking things off the shelves, right? And so that to me is perhaps one of the most alarming things, is that industrially produced food is completely unsustainable, right? And let's talk about this, because sustainability is a word that gets really bandied around. And I think the meaning dissolves a little bit as a result, right? But I heard somebody at Downsview Park once give a workshop and so smartly said to a group of kids that sustainability was about making sure that there is enough for all forever.
Yes.
And I was like, perfect. That's exactly it. Whatever system you build, the way that happens, you have to build it in a way that this can just continue moving, right? Right now, our food system is heavily reliant on fossil fuels, for one, to move food, all right? We all want strawberries in our smoothies every morning and bananas here, and right? And we're not going to budge. That is like, I work hard, I pay my tax, you know what I mean? I deserve strawberry. Like, that's the weird attitude behind that. And so food is sort of shipped all over the place. We have no sense of what grows where. We have no sense of what season it is. Right. And so our food system is sadly, I think perhaps an important way to say it is sadly detached from nature.
Yeah.
Right. And that is where the problems really start. We're resisting the natural cycles of this planet. And here we are, right? There's a lot more to say, but the structure of that also implies the influence, obviously, of capitalism and sort of corporate interests. Now that we're talking about corporations running our food production and delivery, all the standards that exist for corporations now are being sort of forced onto a food system where I don't believe it belongs. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be having that depth of business interest in something as fundamental as our food supply.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's go into that a little bit. I want to talk about, we're all sitting at home. Of course, this would have been great to be doing in person, but of course, we're also dealing with the isolation, right? So, in this like COVID reality, like what are the, we talked about it briefly, what are the kind of gaps that are being revealed, and how are people being creative in finding solutions?
Thanks. It's a wonderful question, because as much as it gets heavy and doomy, there's actually a lot of really beautiful things to say. So I think the biggest reveal about our food system is that the safety net of it is really quite threadbare, right? In terms of on the ground and grassroots and where the supports are. Because I'm on the board at an organization called The Stop in the West End. I was the chef there for 5 years. And we did the best, and they continue to do the absolute best they can to support people with good, fresh, nourishing food. But they weren't able to meet the need that they had before the pandemic hit.
Right.
Right? They were bare,
yes, exactly.
right? And you guys neither. You know what I mean? With the stuff,
we were all stretched before, far before.
It, right? It's really important for everybody, particularly the corporate world, to remember that the social safety net that is populated by nonprofits on the ground in this country was not adequately resourced to begin with. And so the notion that when things fall the way they're falling right now, that people be like, oh, all the social agencies is just like, it fills me, Farheen, with a rage that makes me want to scream in the streets, right? It is not okay. And that piece, the fact that there's sort of a dismissive expectation that the social network will be there, right? So, I mean, you say something like social network, it just means something different. I meant the fabric of people on the ground supporting a community. Sure. They're doing the team at Food Share, the team at The Stop, what they're doing right now, they're working overtime, right? To meet needs while still maintaining values, while still maintaining dignity, wholesome local source, all of that is still happening in this food, right? And so I am proud. I am really proud of my community on the ground because I think that they responded to this urgency and the immediacy that everybody needed to pivot really beautifully, right? They really, there is an ease because, excuse me, it's a network of people. We know each other, right? Yeah. Paul at Food Share can easily get on the phone and call each other Black Creek and be like, okay, here's what we need to do. Right? Exactly. People at Loblaws and Sobeys, they're not, I mean, God bless them, they're there and they're dealing with it, but they're not that nimble. Right? And I think the important thing to remember is that our food system on the ground needs to be nimble. And we're really, really seeing who is able to make connections and sort this out and be like, okay, no problem. We'll come right to you. Here's online platform. You know what I mean? Here's all this kind of stuff. And so I'm so encouraged by what we've seen. I mean, one of the loveliest things about this moment too is that because it's like all bets are off, right? Restaurants shut, everybody watched all their money, all their income sort of swirl down into the sewer. But the innovation that is growing in that space, right? We're like, maybe I can get your French onion soup kit and make it for myself at home. That's awesome. Or how great to have a farmer network that drops off, produce or meat share or
right? Yeah, for sure.
It's cool. It's working. And we're actually keeping good food, like to watch what's happening with you guys at Meal Exchange and to see that we're able. It's really important to be able to say, yes, getting food into students is obviously the first thing we need to do, but we still have to do it in a way that preserves and maintains our values, right? So we managed to get in some money, managed to get some funding to support students, but then we're going to use it to invest in these local networks, right? Because you may not have a lot of money, but whatever you have can still be influenced by your values. And our grassroots community is really displaying that in a way that is making my heart swell, right? I'm so delighted to see it.
That's great. Well, exactly. This is about, still being able to be conscious consumers, but in a way that actually makes sense, right? We're still providing, our work with Meal Exchange before COVID was all about trying to get better food on campuses, right? Good food, sustainable, ethical, accessible, and all of that. But then, we had to pivot like many organizations did, and really think about it. And so it's really great. Thanks for all your support as well to get, access to these local farmers and really be able to invest in them as well, and because they're hurting too. So it's that system that we're able to work on together.
And you can see that at an intense moment, as if the urge is to become insular and to close down and to, board up your windows and get your canned food. But this is really a moment where we are forced to confront our connection to each other, for better or for worse. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For neighbors who refuse to stay apart and wear masks, and for the fact that someone actually cares about whether or not you've eaten anything and can bring something to your door, right?
Yeah, well, one of the things I wanted to just share briefly was like,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard because we don't really, not all of us have that experience of dealing with food insecurity. So it's hard to really visualize it sometimes. But like I'm sure, I'm sure you've seen this too. Like yesterday, it's very fresh in my mind. So I wanted to kind of
Tell me.
yesterday I went to drop off some physical boxes to some of the students' houses, and it was really hard to see them. Like the fact that it was really heartbreaking for me was like, on one hand, I'm humbled that I have the opportunity to go and do that, which was amazing. But on the other hand, the fact that I had to do it was really heartbreaking to see, young people take the box and actually be very excited to see a box of produce, like really, it's so, like it just really speaks to the work that, we're all doing in terms of getting food out there to individuals. And, the ever-growing need, like you can see it on their faces, as you can see when anybody's dealing with food insecurity, like that level of stress and the and the sheer kind of exhaustion on the face. So a lot that is just really heartbreaking that so much of this is happening, and there's such I think there's such a misunderstanding of the fact that even though we live, quote, in a country like Canada, that food insecurity still exists,
Totally. We make a lot of really false assumptions about the fact that that is an over there or in a way, a developing world or however we understand the other in this conversation. When it's much, one, it's a bit of a problem. We should actually care about everybody on this planet.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's really important for us. Raj Patel is a scholar, writer, thinker on this. And one of the bits that he brings to the conversation is the madness of the fact that we have people suffering from diet-related illness on both sides of the spectrum, right? People who just, it's malnutrition, they just simply don't get enough food, and they're the ensuing health outcomes there. But then there are people who are just eating too much of the wrong food, right? And by the wrong food, I'm talking about pretty empty nutrition, industrial packaged processed food. Right? Everywhere, unfortunately, it's a lot of the stuff we see going out food banks, and that food is not making anybody healthy. Yes, calories in, you can count them, but that's not doing anything to nurture anybody's body. But the fact that we have the polarity of this experience happening that is anchored in our relationship with food is crazy, right? It's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's really helpful. So I want to kind of switch gears here because we're almost at 20 minutes, and I think we're going to wrap up in about 25. So you wrote this book. So tell us about this book and what you're hoping to accomplish.
So this book is the result of, the result of a lot. It was a way bigger effort than I ever imagined it would be. But the work that I've done sort of for the past 8 or 9 years has been to rebuild food systems in our public institutions. And so my experience has been in hospitals and in one university. Right, I did 2 hospital projects in Toronto, and then Ryerson University, I had a chance to overhaul campus food services there. Right, and so that, unfortunately, my verdict on all of this is that investment is what is required. Right, we are not paying enough attention. We don't care enough. We're not investing enough. The only way that campus food systems are actually going to be reanimated and thrive is with conscious investment. Right, and I still believe that to be the truth, but policymakers and politicians are not that excited about that verdict, right? Because here we are in the land of public education and healthcare, and this is how that stands. And so at the end of it all, nobody was really ready to hire me to revolutionize that, right? The government, sadly, is really lagging on their participation on this conversation. And so I was like, what do I do with this? Right? I have a lot of experience now, and I waded into the messiest bits in the institution to figure out how to pull the reins back and send it in another direction. What do I do? And as I would speak about my work, I realized the need to actually put something into people's hands, right? Like here, I have done some messy stuff that we do not need to keep repeating here. And so what has emerged is what I say is that this book is like steps A through C in how to consider it, how to make an argument, how to get people on board, and where to start. Right? It's definitely not an exhaustive list of how to actually rebuild. This is about how to make that change, how to set the spark.
Which is incredible. Yeah.
And the thing that is really important to me is that I'm not putting a lot of eggs in the government basket. I really think that the change in our institutions needs to happen from us on the ground, right? I am often scolded for being too dreamy with my head in the clouds, but as big as this thought is, our public institutions in some way are a reflection of who we are as a society and what our collective values are in some way, right? I understand that there may be sort of a loose understanding of that, but we built them, right? They're ours. It's not like they're sort of externally imposed on us. We built them, and they're not serving us.
No,
right?
exactly.
It's not working. And so it's our job to rebuild. It's our job to change it. And it's messy and it's complicated. And oh my God, there's a reason why institutions have been left to the end in our revolution, because it is by far the messiest piece to untangle. But the thing is, when you actually do that, when you can, you know what I mean? Once we dealt with it and we got better food and we reworked supply, once we sorted it all out, the opportunities that we had on that campus at Ryerson with the students was amazing, right? We actually could use food to support academic excellence, right? Eureka, right? It's like the biggest revelation is the fact that the food is not just about selling cheap food to students, right?
Exactly.
It's got to be more than that. It has to be. Otherwise, they're just like and Ryerson's at Yonge and Dundas, right? It's like one of the busiest intersections in North America, right? A 10-minute walk radius of that campus, 300 food outlets that I had to compete with between me, you know, campus food service. And then, what is the difference? Right? I had to really think about what is different between what I'm offering and what the Big Slice is offering. Because
that's great. That's really putting into perspective, over 300.
Right? And students are the ones who have their fists in the air wanting sustainability and equity and fair, you know what I mean? And I had to say to them, I was like, you need to realize that campus food services is the only food outlet in this neighborhood that is paying anybody a living wage.
Right.
So you're going to complain about my prices, but you need to remember that I can tell you exactly who grew this food, and the person making these sandwiches has enough money to feed their family.
Right.
So you can look at the toonie in your hand, right? You can look at a toonie in your hand and say, oh, that's a junior chicken, and why is your food so expensive? But I'm like, McDonald's is not paying, right? McDonald's is clear cutting for rainforests so that they can grow more cows. Right? Is like, we have to really think about it. And so I loved the chance to constantly push, right? I was like, listen, students, you guys are walking around with $200 running shoes on and $400 purses, but you're going to tell me that the $5 for a tuna sandwich made with all really good, well-sourced everything is too much for you to spend? I can do it, right? It's not fair, right? That's really, but the point of it all is that this book has the process of writing the book has been incredibly, oh my God, intense. There's a raggedy piece of my soul between those two covers for sure.
I hear you on that. My books are the same.
Oh my God.
The process is incredible. Yeah.
But it, I am really, so the book launches May 5th. Right. And obviously all the parties and all the events that were planned have now been postponed until we can get out and gather together. And so a lot of people have been messaging me being like, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, this big moment when now it's sort of diffused and not as exciting. But the thing is, while that is the truth, and the pretty dress that I ordered is now just sort of hanging in the closet waiting for the party. But the fact that everybody has this clear understanding of the failings of our existing institutions and our existing food system is a bit of a gift. And the fact that I'm now going to run out, you know, I'm about to head out there being like, okay, here's how to fix the problem. Here's what's going on.
Well, isn't that amazing, right? Timing is everything.
It's really incredible, right? A global pandemic is a bit of an intense context, but it is really amazing that I was concerned about how it would pull people's attention in this direction. Right? Who would care about this? How can I pull people into the conversation? But everybody has felt the pinch of this now. Everybody has real life experience of exactly what I'm talking about. And that is kind of blowing me away, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, you know, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you for all that you're doing. You're doing some really incredible work. We've got like maybe 30 seconds. Do you have any last minute thoughts?
Last-minute thoughts. There is, at this point in time, too, there is so much joy and connection available in good food. We're just maybe over the middle of the hump on what our isolation is going to look like. Keep cooking, everybody. It takes 21 days to develop a new habit. Right? So keep cooking. Cooking and connection with good, real food that was once in the ground out there is going to get you through this. So keep cooking, even if it's carrots and whatever, like simple stuff, but get yourself connected to good food because that's how you're going to get through. Thank you. Thank you for this, and thank you for creating this conversation.
Of course. And where can we get your book?
Book is currently, there's only an Amazon pre-sale happening right now. But as of May 5th, indie bookstores will be selling it. My publisher will be selling it. And my website, joshnamaharaj.com, will have many, many links about all the places where you can order them to be delivered over to you as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
And the audiobook is not far away. I just finished recording it.
Right. Oh, very cool. Okay. Looking forward to that.
That's fun. Yes.
Thanks again, Joshna.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye. Okay, so that we just had an incredible conversation with Joshna Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining us. This is going to be a weekly program on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. So I encourage you to come back and continue the conversation with us on food security, food systems, and the importance and the value of food, because as we say, food is life, and this is all about real talk. Thanks again, and take care.